credits here. So I was a little bit bummed about that. So I started over. So I was in college here for a couple years. So at this wedding, he comes up and he tells me these things like, hey, you know what? I want to talk to you. So I come in on Monday to this office, and I'm sitting there like, what is this place? Like, what are they doing here? I was just looking around, and everybody's running past me.
What did the card say?
Well, again, I'm going to get to that. So he put on there that he was a mortgage banker. Well, at the same time, I didn't know exactly what his detail of work was. Like, I didn't know what he actually did on a daily basis. Now, I understood it was something with loans, but I didn't know what his role was. So when I got there, it was during the frenzy of all the 2006-7 situation where everybody was just anybody can get a loan. We talked about this. I got clients telling me today that, man, it's so much harder to get a loan now. It's not harder. It's just you got to have your ducks in a row. But it's just the fact that when it was 2005, 6, and 7, everybody was just giving loans. So I'm going through this office, and I'm walking back, and I finally meet him, and he's like, you know what, sir? He goes, son. Called me son too. It's kind of weird. But he goes, you got all the benefits and all the opportunity to do what you want here, because I see a lot of you have a lot of tools to do this job. So anyways, long story short is I got started at business development. I was out there grinding. What I did on a daily basis was go and try to meet real estate agents. That's what everybody said to do. Go try to meet real estate agents, try to build a book of business. And I'm telling you, man, it was one of the toughest things, because you meet realtors, especially when you're this, a year into the business, they just tell you to go pound sand. It's like if you had a lender call you today, Chuck, what would happen? Would you really take that call, or would you be like, well, I don't know. You're too. What happens when that happens with you, where they take that call?
I just take their card and just move on. But we do business.
But it's hard, right? So it's hard for them to get past that door, and that's what I was trying to do. So a long story of it all is that I really got into a position to start doing this on my own. I was in college. A lot of the things that I did moving and coming here was really about just trying to be an entrepreneur like you. I wanted to do something that I really felt like I had the ability to make the money I wanted to make, but also help people like I wanted to help them. And ultimately, either I'm going to fail on my own or I'm going to succeed. And I think that's kind of what the risk you take, right? So in your situation, you took a risk, and obviously it paid off for you. And for me, I'm still trying to see if it's paying off for me.
Well, I'm sure it is paying off for you. You've been doing this now for 13 years.
Well, it's paying off. But the thing about it is you're constantly trying to reinvent yourself. You're constantly trying to the next person. It's not the same business as if you're like, I'm going to go run a business, and then once you get your client.
You're talking about reinvent yourself constantly. What do you mean by that?
Well, that's what I'm trying to say is you constantly have to. My rates are good. You have to constantly monitor the market like any business. But if you have a business, let's say you're doing, I don't know, some type of, like you said, the detailing business, or you're doing some type of clothing business. A lot of times, once you get that book of business, they just keep coming in. And I get referrals and people that work with, but the problem is it's always sporadic, and you get it from different places. So you constantly got to keep planting seeds is what I call it. So I'm always out there. I'm always passing my card. I'm always, you're a loan officer's world is you're as good as your last loan. You could close 15 loans with somebody. You have something go wrong one time, and you're just the worst person. And I understand, and the severity of it is it's a high risk, high reward job. But if something goes wrong, you're the one to blame. And you're also going to be the one you got their money at risk, which is the consumer out there.
Yeah.
So for me, it was definitely a learning curve to really understand the business, understand how to be profitable, but also understand how to help people and blend that all together. Because a lot of times in this business, people, when you get in, they don't want to teach you how to become successful. And I don't know if they know how. It is an entrepreneur style.
Well, didn't you learn with somebody? Didn't they take you
No,
through the process?
To a point. But I've seen other situations where they don't want to teach you certain things, and you have to learn it the hard way. And it's because I didn't give up, and I didn't say, you know what, it's too hard. Because you got to realize, at some point, if you break off in this world of what we do, you're now a competitor. And if you're a competitor, now you're competing against that person. So a lot of times they just wanted to tell you just enough when you got into the business, and then you had to learn a lot of this the hard way. I was there grinding on Saturdays, right?
So
making phone
where
calls.
Did you figure out when you were working with somebody, hey, I'm going to make a shift and I'm going to take the leap of faith and actually become a lender, and I'm going to do this on my own. What was that turning point? What was that mindset at that point?
I think the mindset was I looked into everybody and what they were doing, and I'll tell you, I outwork everybody.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying
you are a hard worker.
I'll tell you right now, you might be smarter than me on certain things.
That's the only reason why I'm messing with you.
You might be smarter than me. You might have certain things that you have over me, but you won't outwork me.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I'm always somebody that goes into a situation. If I don't know something, I'm going to stay on it until I figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's my drive, kind of a similar personality as you and I. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's what's sustained. We talked about this in the beginning of the show, sustainability.
Yeah.
This is sustaining our livelihood. And it's because we went out there, we took a risk. But like I said, in this business, it's a very cutthroat business. When you talk about lending as a whole, you have cross-referencing. If, you leave a company, they're going to keep that database and they're going to say, you know what, I'm going to market to your database. Yeah. I don't think that's ethically good, but they'll do that. Why? Because they feel like they own that. And I think there is some ethics that you don't want to cross, and I've never crossed that.
Now, what about accountability? What holds you for accountability? Like
myself. When I wake up in the morning, I want to be better every day that I wake up than I was the day before. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, some days aren't good. Some days aren't as good as others.
How do you push through it when you're like, hey man, this thing's not working out? Things
well,
are just not going through.